board takes any action.
Okay, thanks, Cale. Anybody have any questions?
Any chance we can still get this done this fall?
I talked to Brian Schulfenig about it, and
I think just the sooner the better, in my opinion. Just
Yeah.
but
currently the water level is about a foot and a half below where we're going to breach it to. You know, and if we would get a lot of water, you know, snow melt and stuff next spring, and we end up with a lot more water in there, then you got the issue of breaching it,
yeah.
and then the water going out and then washing it out, and yeah, so it's not a good deal. Okay.
The level we're taking it down to, is that the natural runoff level?
Yeah, that's basically what was determined by the Department of Water Resources when they did their investigation. Yeah. You have anything to add to that, Thomas?
I do not. It was what was in the report, and yeah.
Okay. Okay. One issue, you remember when Lindsay was here last meeting, you know, they said they didn't want to pay for this. It is. You know, I understand why. You know, it's.
Can it be taken out of the Hurdsfield drain, being a benefits Hurdsfield?
Cale and I had that discussion last night. We were going over meeting stuff. And Cale, do you want to just, you know, briefly give them a summarization of what we talked about last night, the legalities of this stuff?
Yeah. So number one, there was a question about, you know, is this related at all to the Hurdsfield project? And unfortunately, no, it's not. It's part of the board's duties to process these administrative complaints. And also, I think the district has previously taken the position that it's unrelated. If it would have been related, then there was a time where we were considering, you know, whether the board should undertake permitting of this or some version of this, you know, as part of the project, and it was decided not to. So I don't think that we have any access to Hurdsfield funds to address the costs. The statute says that if the responsible landowner doesn't remove the non-complying dam by the deadline set by the board, that the board may assess the cost to the landowner. Or I believe it's, you know, shall assess the cost to the landowner. The board also has very broad authority for how it spends its general fund money to manage water. I have a lot of sympathy for, you know, John Roller's widow and his children who are now left to deal with this. And so it's a really hard judgment call, I think, for the board to make. But generally speaking, when you're faced with these tough decisions, my recommendation is that you think about not just this case, but all the cases that come after it, and that you follow the guidance in the statute. And, you know, the board has some arguments in front of the Supreme Court Thursday on a case where it charged all costs to a responsible entity who, you know, didn't follow the direction of the board. And so I think it's a wise recommendation to say, you know, especially when faced on tough judgment calls like this, follow the guidance of the statute, follow the recommendation of the legislature. Larry and I talked about, you know, having a conversation with Linda or her daughter after today's meeting, just saying, although we know it's a hard pill to swallow, you know, let's do what we can to help you to minimize those costs as much as possible. And I would hope that the Rollers would reconsider and would take care of this before the board's deadline in order to avoid, you know, taking those contractor costs and growing them into something more than they would need to be.
As it stands right now, the board is responsible for the cost of the engineering and the legal fees to this point. If they decide not to do that, then they get all of that besides. Also, I can't imagine that they're going to fight this. They just want to be done with it. I don't blame them for it.
What's the cost of removing it? So they're going to have to pay for the cost of removal.
Yeah,
What is the cost to remove it?
Don't know for sure.
Well, they estimated, wasn't it 5 to 6?
Yeah, they did. But
Well, let me ask you this question. Apex says it needs to be a 20-foot wide. Are they stuck to those parameters? Do they have to dig it the way we say you have to dig it, or can they just
the reason
get drilled up there and dig a hole there and let her go and back away?
the reason
Yeah.
that we chose that 20-foot wide is if it does ever go over the top of it, it's 20 feet wide, so it'd be slower going across instead of, because if you just dug a narrow channel through there and the water starts going over there, it's going to cut a hole right through that. So it'll go substantially lower. And Jennifer and
You're
Thomas and I
saying
talked
it
about that.
would lower the lake even lower than what the...
Yes, yeah.
There's no doubt, there would be such a force of water coming over there, not loose dirt, they would cut that out because it's not sod.
Yeah.
It's just gonna cut it.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 5,000 to 6,000 removal, correct?
Possibly. Brian and I are going to go down and look at it on Tuesday morning.
Okay, and then you're looking at if they do not, pretty much if they don't pay this, then we go back to engineering costs, which is also,
Well, we already got that.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. But if they choose to not remove it by the deadline, then that becomes all the legal fees and the engineering fees all become, and administrative costs, whatever it is, all go to them then and get assessed. So it would be more than double, more than likely. But
Well, I mean, the bottom line is, when you just look at it face value, the dam was put in illegally. Nobody forced anybody to do that, and now we're set with that. So if you look at it, when you come from a standpoint of the county being responsible for it, I think a lot of people in the county would say, hey, that ain't their deal.
yeah. And that's the reason that, we're not going down that avenue. Especially under the circumstances, with the Supreme Court case. So.
And we've incurred a lot of extra costs with that.
Yeah.
They know this now? They're aware?
No, none of this. This is just this first time this has been put together. Well, I don't know, Kale, you did this yesterday or today? Or not today?
Yeah, it was
Monday? Tuesday?
it was the draft findings.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were circulated to the board and nobody else prior to that for the first time. Shortly after close of business yesterday.
Yeah.
When I finished them, so.
so this is,
There was some discussion with Lindsay on this at the last meeting, but as far as the words on the paper in front of you, it was just completed yesterday for the first time.
so there's gotta be a conversation had with those three before, we know.
Yeah, Kale and I talked about that last night. I told him that we'd have to do that. And I thought that I would give her a heads up on the letter before they receive it.
And Brian's gotta go look at that and come up with his, cause you're guesstimating 5 or 6, and
I'm thinking it's gonna be a lot cheaper than that.
that's what I was kinda thinking.
Yeah.
So,
But you want it, like Jennifer and Thomas and I talked about, we want to estimate it higher, so there's no surprises, It's like, okay, you estimate a couple $1,000 and all of a sudden it is 5,000, Don't want to do that either.
cause you're just, there's no culverts or nothing coming out, it's just dirt digged out. And
Yep.
I think it's gonna take them longer to move in there and move out than to do this. That's
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
because these aren't a mile long, these are, just 20 feet, it's just,
Yeah,
I'd say the biggest cost is gonna be him moving in and moving out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the one.
Yeah. Yep. That's all we got to do. And there'll be like a 4-1 back slope on it.
When coming up with the estimate, we did it 2 different ways, unit cost, and that was a unit cost of what we typically see on some other rural projects. And then we did an hourly rate type of estimate. They both came up with the same dollar cost. So that's where we came up with that. Just for your information.
usually when Brian gives you an estimate, it's like